Welcome to Easy Learning Tree Kids, where learning is fun. Today, let's dive into the exciting story of the Gentle Gruffamoo. Deep in the heart of the Wobblewood forest, where the trees whispered secrets and the rivers giggled over smooth stones, there lived a big, furry creature named the Gruffamoo. He was twice the size of a bear, with curly green fur, shimmering silver horns, and the softest, kindest eyes you could ever imagine. But despite his gentle nature, all the animals in Wobblewood were terrified of him. "The Gruffamoo is huge," the foxes whispered. "He could gobble you up in one bite." "He has horns that glow in the moonlight," the owls hooted. "He must be magical and dangerous. And have you seen his shadow? It's the size of a tree." The rabbits trembled. "He must be the scariest creature ever." But none of them had ever actually spoken to the Gruffamoo. One sunny morning, while the Gruffamoo was picking wild blueberries near the river, a tiny mouse named Pip scurried through the grass. Pip had heard all the terrifying stories, but he was also very curious. If the Gruffamoo is really that scary, he thought, why has no one ever seen him eat anyone? So Pip bravely tiptoed closer and peeked through the bushes. The Gruffamoo was sitting by the river, carefully plucking blueberries and humming a deep, rumbly tune. Butterflies danced around his head, a family of frogs croaked happily nearby, and a trio of fireflies blinked in rhythm like tiny floating stars. A couple of giggling ducklings splashed water onto his furry feet, and instead of growling, the Gruffamoo wiggled his big toes and laughed. "That doesn't seem scary at all," Pip thought. Taking a deep breath, Pip stepped forward and squeaked, "Hello?" The Gruffamoo turned his enormous head. His glowing silver horns shimmered in the sunlight, and his deep green fur rustled like leaves. Pip gulped, expecting a roar, but instead the Gruffamoo blinked and said in the softest, kindest voice, "Oh, hello, little one. Would you like a blueberry?" Pip was shocked. The Gruffamoo wasn't scary at all. He was kind. "Yes, please," Pip stammered, hopping closer. The Gruffamoo gently placed a juicy blueberry in front of him. "Why do all the animals think you're scary?" Pip asked, munching. The Gruffamoo sighed. "I don't know. Maybe it's my size. Maybe it's my horns. Or maybe it's just because no one ever stops to talk to me." Pip's whiskers twitched. "Well, I'm talking to you now, and you don't seem scary at all." The Gruffamoo chuckled. "Thank you, Pip. That means a lot." Pip had an idea. "Would you like to meet the other animals? If they see how friendly you are, maybe they won't be afraid anymore." The Gruffamoo hesitated. "Do you think they would really want to meet me?" "Of course," Pip said. "We just have to show them." So Pip and the Gruffamoo came up with a plan. First, Pip led the Gruffamoo to the squirrel hollow, where the squirrels were gathering acorns. As soon as they saw him, they shrieked and scrambled up the trees. "Wait," Pip called. "The Gruffamoo is friendly. He won't eat you." The Gruffamoo smiled and gently placed a pile of golden acorns at the base of the tree. "I found these near the river. I thought you might like them." The squirrels peeked from their branches. No growls, no chasing, just acorns. Then, to their surprise, the Gruffamoo did a little happy dance, twirling his big furry feet and making the leaves swirl like confetti. His big fluffy tail swished like a feathery broom, sweeping up petals and sending them fluttering through the air like tiny, colorful butterflies. He even tried to climb a tree, but he was too big and ended up rolling onto a pile of leaves, sending a flurry of giggles into the air. Maybe he's not so bad, one squirrel whispered, giggling. Next, they visited the Hooting Hollow, where the owls roosted. As soon as the Gruffamoo entered, the owls flapped their wings in alarm. "Stay back," they hooted. "We know you're dangerous." "Actually, the Gruffamoo loves bedtime stories," Pip explained. "Would you like to hear one?" The Gruffamoo nodded. "I know a very old tale about the moonlight fox." The owls were curious. No one had ever told them a bedtime story before. So, they listened as the Gruffamoo told a magical tale under the glowing moon. By the end, the owls were so enchanted that they forgot to be afraid. "Maybe he's not so bad," one owl hooted. Word spread quickly. The Gruffamoo wasn't scary. He was kind and helpful. So, Pip decided to throw a big feast in Wobblewood Forest to celebrate. The Gruffamoo brought juicy blueberries. The squirrels brought their best acorns. The foxes brought sweet berries. And the owls brought fresh honeycombs. The Gruffamoo even made flower crowns for the animals, placing tiny ones on the mice, big leafy ones on the foxes, and a special sparkling one woven with dewdrops for Pip. Then they all played a game of musical leaves, hopping from leaf to leaf as the wind rustled through the trees. For the first time ever, the Gruffamoo sat among the other animals, laughing, eating, and telling stories. He even played a game of hide and seek, his big fluffy tail sticking out from behind a tree, making everyone giggle. And the animals finally saw what Pip had seen all along. The Gruffamoo wasn't a monster. He was a friend. From that day on, the Gruffamoo was no longer feared. Instead of hiding in the shadows, he played with the rabbits, helped the foxes find food, and even became the official bedtime storyteller for the owls. And as for Pip, he became the bravest little mouse in Wobblewood, the one who had proven that sometimes the scariest creatures are just the ones waiting for a friend. And so, Wobblewood Forest became a place where no one was feared, no one was lonely, and everyone belonged. And sometimes, just sometimes, you could hear the Gruffamoo humming his happy tune. As the butterflies danced around his head, the fireflies blinked in rhythm, and the stars twinkled above.